You've got big dreams, but somehow your bed feels bigger. You want success, but your energy says, maybe tomorrow. Sounds familiar? Then this speech is for you. The ambitious dreamer trapped in a lazy body. A pause for audience laughter or reflection. You see, ambition without action is like a car without fuel. It looks shiny, but it's not going anywhere. Most people aren't completely lazy. They're just selectively lazy. They'll binge, watch 10 episodes, but hesitate to start one project. The truth is, lazy people can still achieve greatness if they learn how to use their laziness smartly. Let's talk about 6 powerful lessons to turn your lazy ambition into unstoppable success. Let's face it, being lazy isn't always a bad thing. In fact, it might just be your greatest advantage if you learn to use it efficiently. Lazy people, by nature, hate wasting energy. They don't like unnecessary steps, extra work, or doing the same thing twice. And that's exactly why some of the most creative systems, shortcuts, and innovations in history were born out of laziness. From the TV remote to voice assistants. Someone somewhere thought, there must be an easier way to do this. And boom, they changed the world. You see, efficient laziness isn't about avoiding work. It's about avoiding wasted work. It's about finding smarter paths to the same goal. Efficiently lazy people are natural problem solvers. When a task feels boring or repetitive, instead of grinding through it, they ask themselves, how can I make this simpler? That one question can transform how you live and work. Think about it. Some people will spend 3 hours completing a report every week, while an efficiently lazy person will spend 1 day automating it forever. Who's smarter? The second person works once, rests forever. They invest their energy in building systems, not routines. That's the real difference between ordinary effort and intelligent efficiency. But here's the catch. Most people mistake being lazy for doing nothing. That's not efficient laziness. That's wasted potential. Efficient laziness means being strategic with your time and energy. It's waking up and asking yourself, what are the few things that will create the biggest results? Then you do those and nothing else. You focus on impact, not activity. You might not work all day, but when you do, you work decisively. And when you rest completely. That balance, intensity, and rest is what keeps you moving forward while others burn out doing busy work. One of the best ways to become efficiently lazy is to automate your discipline. Don't rely on motivation. Motivation fades. Systems don't. For example, if you struggle to study, use an app that locks your phone. If you forget to drink water, schedule reminders. If you waste time deciding what to do, make a to-do list the night before. Every small system you create saves mental energy, and lazy people need that energy for things that truly matter. Remember, this efficiency isn't about doing more things. It's about removing the need to decide what to do next. You make good habits automatic and bad habits impossible. Here's another truth. Efficiently lazy people are brilliant at prioritizing. They know that not every task deserves their attention. Instead of chasing every shiny opportunity, they focus on what actually moves the needle. They delegate, they delete, they simplify. They understand the 80-20 rule. 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort. So they spend their time on that golden 20%. It's not that they're avoiding work. They're avoiding meaningless work. They ask, what's the simplest way to get the best result? And that mindset changes everything. Because when you prioritize wisely, you get more done by doing less. Now, this doesn't mean you can sit back and hope success lands in your lap. No, efficiency requires initial effort. You'll need to spend some time setting up those systems, learning those shortcuts, and organizing your work so it flows easily later. It's like building a machine. The first day is hard, but after that, it runs almost on its own. That's how efficiently lazy people operate. They front load the effort so they can relax later. The lazy part isn't in the beginning, it's the reward. And when you start seeing the results, when you realize you've done more in 2 hours than most do in a full day, that's when you understand the true power of being efficiently lazy. So don't be ashamed of your laziness. Refine it, make it intelligent. Turn it into your engine, not your excuse. Every time you feel too tired to start something, ask yourself, is there a smarter way to do this? Because efficient laziness isn't about working less. It's about designing your life so that everything feels effortless. You're not escaping work, you're mastering it. You're not procrastinating, you're optimizing. And once you learn to do that, you'll find that success doesn't always belong to the hardest worker. Sometimes it belongs to the laziest strategist. Here's a truth that almost everyone knows, but almost no one acts on. You will never feel completely ready. Not for your dream job, not for your business, not for that idea you keep thinking about at 2 a.m. Readiness is an illusion your mind creates to delay risk. It says, wait until you're smarter, richer, more confident, or better prepared. But that perfect moment, it never comes. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll still be waiting 10 years from now. Every successful person you admire once stood at the edge of uncertainty and said, I'll start anyway. And that decision, not talent, not timing, made all the difference. The problem is, we confuse preparation with progress. Preparation feels safe. It feels productive. You can tell yourself, I'm doing research or I'm learning more before I start. But too much preparation becomes procrastination in disguise. You start reading one more article, watching one more tutorial, making one more plan. And before you know it, you've built a fortress of excuses around your ambition. The truth is, the world doesn't reward ideas, it rewards execution. You can read 50 books about swimming, but you'll never learn until you jump into the water. Progress starts the moment you begin, not the moment you feel ready. Here's what most people get wrong. Starting doesn't require confidence. Confidence comes after you start, not before. People think they need to feel brave first, but action is what creates courage. The first step always feels uncomfortable, and that's good. It means you're moving into new territory. The fear, the hesitation, the overthinking, they're signs that you're growing. You don't defeat fear by waiting for it to disappear. You defeat it by walking right through it. Every great achievement started with uncertainty. Every bold dream began with someone saying, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyway. Think about it. How many dreams die in the name of someday? You tell yourself, someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll get fit. Someday I'll take that risk. But someday is a graveyard where your dreams go to sleep. Lazy ambition loves someday because it sounds noble, like you're waiting for the right time. But ambition without action is like a car stuck in neutral. The engine's running, but you're not moving. The only real time you have is now. Tomorrow doesn't exist yet. The clock is ticking whether you act or not. And every day you wait is a day someone else moves ahead while you stand still. When you start before you're ready, something magical happens. You learn faster. You stop overthinking theory and start getting real feedback. The mistakes you make in your first week will teach you more than months of research ever could. You realize that failure isn't final. It's fuel. It's a shortcut to understanding what works. People who start early aren't braver. They're just better at learning on the go. They understand that you can fix mistakes, but you can't fix inaction. You can edit a bad first draft, but you can't edit a blank page. So the next time you hesitate, remember, starting is not the end of your learning. It's the beginning of it. Lazy, ambitious people have an advantage here. They hate wasting time. So instead of endless planning, use your laziness to skip the fluff and start simple. Don't build the perfect plan. Build the first version. If you want to start a business, sell one product. If you want to write a book, write one paragraph. If you want to get fit, do one push-up. Momentum doesn't come from motivation. It comes from movement. Once you take that first step, the next step gets easier. The mountain looks smaller once you start climbing it. And that's the beauty of imperfect beginnings. They eventually lead to unstoppable progress. Here's the mindset shift you need. Stop waiting to feel ready and start acting your way into readiness. Every skill you need can be learned along the way. Every bit of confidence you crave grows through experience. Every successful person you look up to started with shaky hands and an uncertain mind. They just didn't let that stop them. The first version of anything you do will probably be ugly. And that's okay. Ugly starts turn into beautiful outcomes. The only thing worse than a bad first attempt is no attempt at all. So, if you're ambitious but lazy, don't waste your energy preparing for perfection. Use your laziness strategically. Start before you're ready and let your mistakes become your teachers. You'll never find the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect version of yourself to begin. But if you take one imperfect step today, you'll already be miles ahead of the millions still waiting for permission to start. The truth is simple. Success doesn't come to those who are ready. It comes to those who begin anyway. We live in a world that celebrates multitasking. People brag about juggling 10 projects, switching between 5 apps, and always being busy. But here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Being busy doesn't mean being effective. In fact, doing too much is the fastest way to achieve nothing extraordinary. If you want real success, not temporary applause, you have to focus. You have to find that one thing you can do exceptionally well and then give it everything you've got. Because mastery isn't born from spreading your energy thin. It's born from pouring it deep. The world doesn't remember people who tried everything. It remembers those who nailed something. You might admire those who seem to do it all. But look closer, every great success story begins with someone who mastered one craft before expanding. The best innovators, athletes, or entrepreneurs didn't start by doing everything. They started by doing one thing so well that the world couldn't ignore them. It's like planting a tree. If you keep moving the seed from one spot to another, it'll never grow roots. But if you plant it, water it, and stay consistent, it'll grow tall enough to touch the sky. The problem with ambitious but lazy people is that their ambition makes them curious. They want to try everything. But their laziness makes them inconsistent. So they start 5 things and finish none. They're always almost successful, but almost doesn't change your life. What does? Commitment. The discipline to stay with one thing until it blooms. You can't microwave mastery. You can't rush excellence. You have to sit with boredom, push through repetition, and refine your skill until you turn average into art. That's where success hides, not in the starting, but in the sticking. Now, here's where the magic happens. When you focus on one thing, your laziness actually becomes an advantage. Why? Because lazy people naturally look for the simplest and most efficient way to achieve results. When all your energy is directed toward one goal, your mind finds shortcuts, patterns, and systems that make your process faster. You become not just skilled, but strategically skilled. You find smart ways to improve without burning out. You use your limited energy wisely. And that's how you transform laziness into leverage. Think about it like this. If you split your energy among 10 goals, each one gets only 10% of you. But if you put that same energy into one thing, it gets 100%. That's the difference between being good and being great. The world doesn't reward kind of good. It rewards the exceptional. If you can become the best in one small area, even a tiny niche, people will come to you. Opportunities will chase you instead of you chasing them. The key is not to be everywhere, but to be unforgettable somewhere. And yes, focus requires sacrifice. It means saying no more often than you say yes. It means turning down distractions, resisting trends, and ignoring what everyone else is doing. That's hard, especially when you see people trying new things every day. But remember, focus isn't about limiting yourself. It's about freeing yourself from meaningless noise. When you give your full attention to one craft, you enter a state of flow, where time disappears and progress feels natural. You stop fighting laziness because your energy becomes purpose-driven. You're not forcing productivity. You're pulled by passion. Here's the truth most people miss. Mastery looks boring from the outside. It's not glamorous. It's not dramatic. It's repetition, refinement, and patience. But over time, that steady effort compounds. Each small improvement adds up until one day, people call you talented, not realizing you built that talent through focus and persistence. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be the one who didn't quit when things got repetitive. Consistency beats intensity every single time. So, if you're ambitious but lazy, don't try to conquer everything. Choose one thing, something that excites you enough to keep you moving, even on lazy days. Maybe it's a skill, a passion, a project, or an idea. Whatever it is, pour your focus into it until it becomes effortless. Because when you do one thing exceptionally well, it opens doors to everything else. The world doesn't pay for mediocrity. It pays for mastery. And mastery begins when you stop asking, what else can I do? And start asking, how much better can I get at this one thing? Don't underestimate the power of narrow focus. A laser can cut through steel because it concentrates light in one direction. Your energy works the same way. If you spread it too thin, it glows. But if you focus it, it burns. It creates impact. And the moment you decide to stop being average at everything and start being amazing at something, that's when success finds you. Not because you did more, but because you did one thing better than anyone else. Here's something that most ambitious people struggle to admit. You're not the smartest person in the room, and that's a good thing. In fact, if you ever find yourself being the smartest person in every room you enter, you're in the wrong room. Growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens when you surround yourself with people who challenge you, question you, and push you to think beyond your limits. Smart people don't intimidate you, they educate you. And if you're ambitious but lazy, learning from them is your ultimate shortcut to success. Why spend 10 years making mistakes someone else already made when you can learn their lessons in 10 minutes? The truth is, too many people waste years trying to figure everything out on their own. They let pride, ego, or fear stop them from asking questions. But ego is expensive. It costs you progress. The smartest kind of laziness is when you say, instead of struggling alone, I'll learn from someone who's already mastered this. Lazy people don't like unnecessary effort. And there's nothing more unnecessary than repeating someone else's failures just because you were too proud to learn from them. So find mentors, teachers, books, videos, anything or anyone who's a few steps ahead of you, and absorb their wisdom like a sponge. You see, successful people leave clues everywhere. They've written books, recorded podcasts, shared stories. All the roadmaps you need already exist. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to learn how it spins. When you study the habits, routines, and mindsets of people who are already where you want to be, you compress time. What took them 10 years might take you 2. That's not cheating. That's being efficient. The world doesn't reward those who suffer through everything alone. It rewards those who learn faster. Knowledge borrowed is still knowledge earned, and smart learners use that truth to leap ahead. But learning from smarter people isn't just about listening. It's about humility. You have to be willing to admit, I don't know. And that's hard, especially when you're ambitious. Ambition makes you want to prove yourself, to show that you're capable. But humility makes you improve yourself. There's a difference. Proving feeds your ego. Improving feeds your growth. The people who grow the fastest are not the loudest in the room. They're the most curious. They ask questions others are too proud to ask. They don't need to pretend to know everything because they understand that learning never ends. The moment you think you know it all, your growth stops. Here's the best part. Surrounding yourself with smarter people doesn't make you smaller. It makes you sharper. Iron sharpens iron. If you spend time around people who think bigger, act faster, and dream bolder, their mindset starts to rub off on you. You begin to see possibilities you never saw before. You stop settling for average because you're exposed to excellence every day. Energy is contagious. So is ambition. That's why your environment matters more than your motivation. You can't stay lazy for long when you're surrounded by people who make progress look normal. They'll pull you up without even trying. Now, for the lazy, ambitious person, this is the ultimate hack. Leverage other people's expertise. You don't have to be great at everything, just smart enough to learn from those who are. Delegate what you don't know. Collaborate with those who do it better. Partner with people whose strengths balance your weaknesses. Success doesn't come from doing it all alone. It comes from building alliances that multiply your impact. Lazy people, when they're smart about it, become incredible networkers, not because they want to avoid work, but because they understand that teamwork is the fastest road to results. But here's a warning. Don't just copy smart people. Understand them. Don't imitate their actions blindly. Study the principles behind their success. If someone wakes up at 4 a.m. and achieves greatness, that doesn't mean the magic is in the alarm clock. It's in their discipline, their purpose, their consistency. Extract lessons, not lifestyles. You don't have to become them. You just have to learn from them. Because real learning is transformation, not imitation. Finally, remember this: the people you learn from today are the people you'll one day inspire. Every mentor you have now was once a beginner who learned from someone else. It's a cycle. Wisdom flows forward. So never be afraid to ask, to listen, to learn. The moment you open your mind to others, the universe starts opening doors for you. Your laziness doesn't have to hold you back. It can guide you towards smarter paths. And the smartest path of all is learning from those who've already walked it. So, if you want to rise faster, stop pretending you know everything. Seek out people who intimidate you a little. Those are your teachers. Sit quietly, observe deeply, and learn relentlessly. Because when you learn from people smarter than you're not just borrowing their knowledge, you're borrowing their years. And that's how the lazy but ambitious win, not by outworking everyone, but by outlearning them. Let's talk about something most people run from: boredom. In today's world, boredom feels like a crime. The moment we feel a few seconds of silence, we grab our phones, open an app, and scroll until our brains go numb. We treat boredom like a virus we need to escape from. But here's the truth: boredom is not your enemy. It's your hidden genius. The greatest ideas, inventions, and breakthroughs didn't come from constant activity. They came from quiet moments when the mind finally had space to think. Boredom is the birthplace of creativity, if you know how to use it. When you're ambitious but lazy, boredom can be your secret weapon. Why? Because lazy people naturally avoid unnecessary business. They don't like to fill every second with work, meetings, or meaningless noise. And that empty space, that silence, can become your creative laboratory. Most people never stop long enough to listen to their thoughts. Their minds are so cluttered with distractions that new ideas can't breathe. But if you learn to sit still and let your thoughts wander, something magical happens. Your brain starts connecting dots you didn't even know existed. Think about where your best ideas come from. It's rarely when you're staring at your computer or forcing inspiration. It's when you're in the shower, taking a walk, staring at the ceiling, or daydreaming during a boring commute. That's not laziness. That's your brain processing. When you're bored, your mind switches to a creative mode called default thinking. It starts linking memories, experiences, and concepts in fresh ways. It's the reason artists, inventors, and entrepreneurs often say their biggest breakthroughs came when they were doing nothing. That's the power of productive boredom. But we've forgotten how to be bored. We fear stillness. The moment we feel it, we rush to escape it with dopamine. Social media, notifications, endless content. But here's the thing: if your mind is constantly distracted, it never has time to think deeply. Shallow attention creates shallow ideas. If you want to build something meaningful, a business, a skill, a dream, you need to give your mind room to breathe. You need moments of silence, solitude, and stillness. That's where creativity hides, not in chaos, but in calm. Lazy people can turn boredom into brilliance if they learn one skill: intentional reflection. Instead of saying, "I'm bored," ask yourself, what could I create right now? Or what problem could I solve? Keep a notebook or your phone nearby. And when your brain starts to wander, capture your thoughts. Don't judge them. Write everything, even the silly stuff. Because ideas often start small, strange, or impossible before they grow into something valuable. Remember, creativity doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. You just have to be quiet enough to hear it. Here's the secret: boredom isn't a lack of stimulation, it's a lack of direction. When you give your boredom purpose, it becomes a creative force. The next time you find yourself lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, instead of scrolling, ask yourself, what's one thing I've been ignoring that could make my life easier? Or what's one idea I can test this week? That's how lazy people turn boredom into opportunity. They don't rush to fill every gap. They use those gaps to design smarter paths forward. A bored mind isn't empty, it's recharging. Some of the most iconic ideas in the world were born from boredom. A young man tired of waiting in line built a faster online system and called it Amazon. Someone annoyed by slow communication built a messaging app. Another person frustrated by bad music recommendations built Spotify. Behind every great innovation is someone who got bored of the ordinary and decided to fix it. That's the power of using boredom as a tool instead of a trap. Lazy people don't like repetitive problems, so they invent shortcuts that change the world. Now, here's a small challenge. Try scheduling boredom. Yes, actually plan it. Set aside 15 minutes a day with no phone, no distractions, no tasks. Just you and your thoughts. At first, it'll feel uncomfortable. Your brain will scream for stimulation. But if you stick with it, that silence will become your superpower. It's in those quiet moments that your most powerful ideas will start to surface. You'll begin to see patterns, solutions, and possibilities that were hidden under all that noise. So if you're ambitious but lazy, don't curse your boredom. Cultivate it. Make it part of your routine. Let your mind wander. Let it daydream. Let it get curious again. Because the truth is, boredom is not the absence of activity. It's the presence of potential. It's your brain's way of saying, I'm ready to create something new. And when you stop running from boredom and start listening to it, that's when your lazy ambition becomes creative genius. Here's a hard truth. If you're ambitious, you're going to fail. A lot. There's no shortcut around it, no clever hack, no way to outsmart it. Failure is the tuition fee you pay for success. But most people spend their lives running from it, hiding behind comfort, excuses, and overthinking. They see failure as proof they're not good enough. But smart, lazy people, they see failure differently. They see it as a teacher, not a trap. They don't fail less than others. They just learn faster each time they do. See, the problem isn't failure itself. It's the fear of failure that keeps people stuck. You tell yourself, what if I fail? But here's a better question. What if I learn something that changes everything? Because every failure contains feedback. Information that success never teaches you. Success can make you confident, but failure makes you wise. It shows you what doesn't work, where your limits are, and how to adjust your approach. It gives you data, direction, and discipline. The sooner you fail, the sooner you learn, and the faster you grow. Lazy, ambitious people actually have an advantage here. They hate wasting time and effort. So instead of trying to be perfect, they just start, fail quickly, and move on. They don't get emotionally attached to every attempt. If it works, great. If it doesn't, they take the lesson and pivot. They know that failing fast is more efficient than over-planning forever. Why spend 6 months preparing when you can fail once and learn in 6 minutes? That's smart laziness. That's efficient growth. Every mistake becomes a stepping stone, not a stop sign. But most people never experience that freedom. They're paralyzed by the idea that failure defines them. They see it as shameful, something to hide. Yet, if you look at the most successful people in the world, you'll notice something strange. They fail publicly and often. They talk about their mistakes, laugh about their bad ideas, and share their lessons. Why? Because they understand that failure doesn't destroy credibility. It builds authenticity. If people don't trust perfection, they trust persistence. Every time you get up after falling, you prove something powerful. You're still in the game. Failure is like a mirror. It doesn't lie. It shows you exactly where you need to grow. Maybe your plan was weak. Maybe your timing was off. Maybe your effort wasn't enough. Whatever the reason, failure gives you clarity. It strips away illusion. And once you know what's wrong, you can fix it. But if you avoid failure altogether, you stay in a fog, never improving, never evolving. The lazy but ambitious person understands this deeply. It's faster to test an idea and fail than to debate it endlessly in your mind. Because no amount of thinking equals the power of trying. Here's the secret. Failure doesn't hurt because of what happens. It hurts because of what we think it means. We take it personally. We think, I failed, so I'm a failure. But those two are not the same. Failure is an event, not an identity. You failed. That's just data. You are a failure. That's a choice. Smart people separate the two. They treat failure like a scientist treats an experiment. That didn't work. Let's change something and test again. There's no drama, no self-blame, no emotional burnout. Just curiosity. And that curiosity keeps them moving forward while everyone else gives up. Lazy, ambitious people can turn this mindset into a superpower because they prefer doing things the easy way. They naturally want to find what works fast. And the fastest way to find what works is to eliminate what doesn't. Failures are like signposts pointing you towards success. Each mistake removes one wrong path from your list. The more you fail, the fewer mistakes you'll make next time. And soon, you'll stumble upon what actually works. That's not failure anymore. That's progress through process. But here's what separates the truly successful from the rest. They reflect after failing. They don't just move on blindly. They pause, review, and extract the lesson. After every setback, ask yourself, what did this teach me? What will I do differently next time? Reflection turns pain into wisdom. Without reflection, failure just repeats. With reflection, it refines you. The goal isn't to avoid failure. It's to fail smarter each time. Because every failure you analyze becomes a map. And those maps eventually lead you straight to mastery. Remember this, failure doesn't slow you down. Fear does. Every minute you spend avoiding mistakes is a minute you could spend learning from them. The people who grow the fastest aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who recover the quickest. They don't wait to feel ready again. They take what they learned and try again immediately. That's resilience, and resilience beats perfection every single time. So, if you're ambitious but lazy, stop running from failure. Redefine it. Use it. Let it be your shortcut to wisdom. You don't need to succeed at everything. You just need to fail, learn, and adjust faster than everyone else. Because failure is not the opposite of success. It's the path that leads directly to it. And the ones who win aren't those who never fall. They're the ones who fall, learn, and rise faster than anyone else. So, if you've ever been called lazy, maybe that's not an insult. Maybe it's a hint. Because laziness isn't the absence of ambition. It's often a different kind of ambition. It's the desire to reach the destination without wasting energy on the wrong road. It's not that you don't want to succeed. It's that you want to succeed smartly. You don't need to work harder than everyone else. You just need to think sharper. You don't need to chase every opportunity. You just need to pick the right one and give it everything you've got. You don't need to wait for the perfect time. You need to start before you're ready. Learn fast, fail fast, and rise faster. Be efficiently lazy. Find simpler ways to do complex things. Start before you're ready. Let action create your momentum. Do one thing exceptionally well and let mastery speak for itself. Learn from people smarter than you and borrow their years of experience. Turn boredom into ideas, because silence is where creativity breathes. And most importantly, let failure teach you faster, because failure is not a wall. It's a mirror showing you the way forward. You see, the world doesn't belong to the busiest. It belongs to the most effective. The ones who work smart, learn quickly, and think differently. So stop fighting your lazy side, train it, guide it. Turn it from an excuse into an advantage. Because the truth is, success doesn't always come to the hardest worker in the room. Sometimes it belongs to the cleverly lazy. Thank you.